Phil Gould has delivered some sobering news to long-suffering Dogs fans, admitting there's more pain to come before things turn around at Belmore.
Yeah, I don't think the club's gone backwards. I'm certain that hasn't happened. The first grade team is very vulnerable at the moment. Our roster is vulnerable. We couldn't afford the type of injuries that we've had. If we're at full strength, we're not getting these results, but unfortunately we haven't been at full strength all year, and that's just sort of worn us down over a period of time. That's not going to change either. You know, with the roster and where we are in this timeline, this year was always going to be a difficult year, and it's going to be painful for another couple of years yet. We just need to make sure this club doesn't go through this type of period again. We can't cut short or cut corners on the process, because as soon as you do, you put yourself further behind. It hurts you in the long term. If you go out and try to look for quick fixes, it never works that way, and you're just pushing the problem further down the track. Someone has to come in and make the tough decisions and realise, look, this is going to be tough for a while. I wish they'd have done this 6 or 7 years ago. If they had, we wouldn't be in this position today. My aim is that they're not in this position in 5 or 6 years' time. I think the next great Bulldog team will be built from within, and that's the only way I know how. And that will give them long-term sustainable success. But it's a journey to get there. Development for me is the best to long-term sustainable success. We will try to assist that with strategic purchases at the right price so we don't chew up our salary cap unnecessarily. There has to be a way to manage that going through to the future, and unfortunately it hasn't been managed that well in the past.
Yeah, worrying signs for the Bulldogs fans, ominous signs for the actual team, with Gus Gould saying that things are most likely going to get worse before they get better. How did we see this today?
I don't understand it. They brought Kickow, Pangai, they got Burton. So they're 3 better players that had been there in the past.
Marnie?
Hey?
Marnie as well?
Reed Marn.
Hayes Perrin.
Hayes Perrin?
So, like, I don't get that they bought better players.
Here they are here, Gordy. This is the players that they've bought.
Wow.
Pengai Jr., Addo Carr, this is all under Gus. Kickow, Ryan Sutton, Braden Burns, Max King, Reed Marnie, Hayes Perrin, Matt Burton, Jacob Preston, Oluwapu and Josh Reynolds. Now that's a lot of players, and that's all under the watchful eye of Gus. They're decent players.
Oluwapu, didn't they pay $500?
Transfer fee.
Yeah.
And you go through that too, and he says the next premiership team will be built from within, yet he's built from outside.
What Gus is referring to today, guys, what Gus is referring to is the pathways that has never been set up at the Bulldogs. And that's what he's referring to about the 6 to 7 years ago, where there were back-ended deals and there was no development pathways set up.
But that doesn't come under your salary cap, all that stuff. So that's
all the back-ended deals.
So that's separate. But like then to go out there and buy those players, you must have some sort of salary cap.
Yeah.
There, and there's no big superstar. There's no guy stuck there on millions of dollars, is there?
Well, if you go back through the years, when Des was there, Des made 2 grand finals on his watch. Now, you can say he left the club in a bad state from a salary cap perspective, but maybe if Des was allowed to coach out his term, he could have worked things around because he had a plan of what he was doing. Then Dean Pay came into the club, and again, the administration at that time had to make some tough decisions. But if you go back and look at the football that they were playing before the question started being asked about Dean Pay, they were going okay.
I think that's a bit unfair on Desi. He hasn't coached there for 5 years?
Yeah.
5 years, and they're still
17,
in a hole.
was it? 17 his last season.
And they're still in a hole from Mendezi. How many players are still there?
And even that performance on the weekend.
It's about unwinding and payouts of those back-ended deals, Gordy, that take a few years to get your cap back straight again.
But you've still bought 10 players there.
Yeah, well, a lot of those blokes haven't played either, Crawls. There's a lot of blokes sitting on the sideline there.
Yeah.
Particularly.
I agree. I think what he's trying to say is that he doesn't want to pay overs for any players. He's willing to be patient and wait for the right time to buy the right players. He doesn't want a quick fix, because we've seen in other clubs when clubs just go, OK, we'll pay this guy 1.3, 1.4, 1.2, and they don't deliver, then all of a sudden you're in a hole and they're back to where they were again. So
I also think he's quietening the noise, Braith.
He's taken pressure off Cirotta in my eyes.
Yeah, so he's quietening the noise and buying time. That's what it is.
OK, meanwhile, Gus doubled down on comments about Cameron Cirotta, confirming he tried to convince the rookie coach to wait another year before joining the Bulldogs.
It was a part of the conversation. He could have easily stayed at Penrith and won another premiership, and you know they were going really well out there. It's a great system, great coaches and great players, and He was ready for an NRL job. I said that we probably weren't ready for him as a starting point, and that maybe next year we'd be in better shape. But he wanted to get into the fight. He said, no, if I'm going to come, I want to be a part of the rebuild as well. So I've known him a long time, and that's the sort of bloke he is. I wasn't saying don't come. I'm just saying that we're not. You might be ready for us. We're not quite ready for you yet. So it was always a tough ask, particularly in his first job as a head coach. But he's handling it really well. He's such a controlled and mature young man, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah, a lot of people were shocked by these comments today that Gus made about Cameron Cirotta, telling him, if you're not ready, don't come because we're not ready for you this year. But I'd heard Gus say this before. I don't know if it was last year.
Season launch.
I've heard him say that before. Now, I believe today Gus just put the bulletproof vest on and took some shots for Cirotta and gave him some time, really.
He still signed him.
He did, but he's just saying, okay, he's trying to take the onus and take it off Cameron. Cameron's under a lot of pressure. The team isn't performing. And he's just tried to take the heat off him. That's how I saw it. And
I take it. I've spoken to Cirotta about it. It's fact. Gus said you don't have to come this year, but Cirotta's that type of character where he wants to try and turn the wheel slowly and now, and it's going to take time.
If you're a Dogs fan, you've got to be frustrated, right? Brisbane got the wooden spoon, didn't they? And look at them in 3 years or 2 years.
Absolutely, you'd be frustrated.
They turn it around
Gordy.
quick. Then you can turn it around quick, and it's sustainable in Brisbane. You would think.
Well, it's not the Bulldogs' way. I said it last night. Now, we've spoken for years on this show and every other show on Fox League about their DNA. They've lost their DNA. You just want to see that toughness, that tenaciousness.
Is that their DNA?
Well, it used to be, but they've lost it. They've lost it. Yeah. But this is my point, Gordy. You watched that game yesterday. I know the long-suffering fans thought they were going to see the light this year. And you watch a 66-0 and the attempts of tackling was pathetic. And you go, well, hang on. Are we really creating a dynasty? Have we got values in place and systems in place where regardless of who has that jersey on, they're playing with pride and they want to do anything they can to win that game? I saw none of that.
I don't think there's one person out there who thinks Cameron Cirotta's position is under pressure. No one. But what we did watch on the weekend was a team capitulate. You said it, Gordy. You spoke about the fact that defence is attitude. This season, they've conceded the most points of any team. Most people expected the Bulldogs maybe wouldn't make the 8, but they'd be going better than they are. And to get beaten by a side that was running 14th on the ladder, 66-0, is an embarrassment any way you look at it.
Dave, you speak to Cameron, right? You've got a good relationship with him. Is he a bit shocked or overwhelmed by where they're at? Because he wouldn't have expected this.
I wouldn't say overwhelmed, no. I don't get that sense at all. I get that he's up for the fight and actually look at the players out there, guys, and with great respect, Max King and Ryan Sutton aren't putting the fear of God into most packs. And
they bought both of them.
Yeah. Paul Alamotti, Carly Braja, I don't see... I get what you said. You do not expect that type of result against the Newcastle Knights.
Why would you put Rajab next to Ockenball, a rookie half, next to a winger who's playing in the back row, next to each other on the weekend? That's what I look at and think, hang on. I just wouldn't do that. And then after... they scored 4 or 5 tries down the whole first half and it didn't change. And then they hooked the poor kid off. I look at that and think, I just wouldn't do that. And I don't know, that's not a shot at Cameron, but because I do respect him a lot and I think he's the right coach and I think he's going to do great things moving forward, but I just look at that and think, what's going on here?
Well, clearly there's been a change because Rajab's gone to reserve grade this week and Toby Sexton, their new signings, come straight in, guys. He's in the halves with Matt Burton.
Yeah. What do we think about Sexton quickly?
Look, again, Gus has made comments that they're not looking for quick fixes. So you would imagine that we've now got the Bulldogs' long-term halfback.